another episode of Joe on the Patio. Our guest today is none other than Bill Nemitz, senior columnist for the Portland Press Herald. Easily one of the most recognizable faces for the Press Herald, for sure. I mean, you can agree with that.
The face in the paper is a little. People give me a hard time because they say it's too young. I haven't changed it in 10 years.
I recognized you immediately when you walked in the room. So okay. I think you look the exact same as before.
So I'm not totally in denial.
No, I think you're good. Everything's good. We're just hanging out. White wine, hot afternoon. Nice. You know, you don't want to weigh yourself down this early. You gotta I actually didn't even eat anything today in anticipation of hanging out with you.
Camera either, you know.
That's right. If you have, it's a delicate tightrope you gotta walk with the day drinking. But like they always say, it's impossible to drink all day if you don't start in the morning.
Right. Well, you know, I'm sitting 2 floors below the newsroom right now, and as I look up, I realize that with the dark windows, they can see me and I can't see them.
They can see you having a cocktail, which is amazing.
Right. And there has to be some kind of company policy against this. So,
well, you're on our turf now.
You'll defend me.
Yeah, you're out of your jurisdiction. Everything is fine. You're under our rules. It's like being out of the ocean.
That's right.
Basically, same thing.
That's right.
So you have literally been in this business since, what, 1977? Is that what I'm led to believe?
Right, yeah, right out of UMass. I went to UMass Amherst. Didn't know what I was, worked at a ski area, and then I worked at a golf course, and I got laid off from that, and was down in western Massachusetts saying, you know, I really got to get serious here. What am I going to do with my life? I had a degree in journalism at that point, and my then girlfriend, one night, we were thinking, what are we going to do now? And she says, well, Maine's nice. And you know how sometimes your whole life can change on 2 words? That's what happened. I came up that next day, we drove to Maine, and I've basically been here ever since. You know, it's amazing. Can't leave.
What was your connection to Maine prior?
None.
Just
None.
Random.
I had hitchhiked through Maine when I was 18 on my way to Nova Scotia. Got caught in a blizzard. That was about it.
So in 1977, you had not yet read the issue of Bon Appetit that named it the foodiest small town in America at that point.
Not even close.
That had nothing to do with your decision to come here.
I bypassed Portland. I went right past. I missed it because I stayed out on the turnpike.
Yep.
And we ended up landing in Rockland, of all places.
Which is a very different place back then than it is now, for sure.
Yeah. And I couldn't, I was freelancing for the Courier-Gazette, which was a 3 times a week newspaper. But here's the thing, I had to find some kind of work. So what do you do when you can't find a job? You go to work for a cleaning company, right? And
I guess.
I did. And I worked nights, overnight. And here I am with my journalism degree, trying to find a newspaper job. And they assigned me to clean the offices of Down East magazine.
Oh, that's kind of, and Down East at that, so that's interesting.
Like, what am I doing here? But that led to a job with, I finally found a job with the Morning Sentinel in Waterville, and spent 5 years there, came down here in 1983, right when this patio was being built, right around that time.
And obviously since 1983, I mean, I feel like as a journalist, as somebody who's fully entrenched in this business, like, you have seen more change than anybody else. I mean, you could have been here from 1900 to 1970 and not seen probably the amount of change that you've seen in your field of work.
Oh my God, it's unbelievable. When I started working my first real full-time newspaper job at the Sentinel, they sat me down at a desk, and in front of me was an old desktop, non-electric Underwood typewriter. The big clunky kind, that they sell at
which
yard
were made
stuff.
famous again by their involvement in House of Cards.
There you go.
The last episode of House of Cards, he writes the president an apologetic letter on his old Underwood typewriter. Right. That's how I know what that is. Yeah.
And then next to that was a pet stack of copy paper, 8 by 11, whatever. Next to that were a pair of scissors and a glue pot. So when you said cut and paste, that's really what we did.
Literally,
You got a story written, somebody calls in a late quote, you get out the scissors, you get out the glue, you paste it in, and it was like that for about 3 years. So I really got to taste that
old school
newspaper thing, and then all of a sudden one day, word spread through the newsroom like wildfire. We're getting computers, and everything changed.
What was that like? How'd that change?
It was great. I mean, it was like you'd gone to Wonderland, and so, but it was a glorified typewriter back then. I mean, that's all you did was write on it. And so then, about the early 90s, when I was down here. We were doing the same thing here, just word processors is what they were.
Right.
And all of a sudden this word goes out to the staff that one of the reporters who's now with us, Eric Bloom is one of our reporters,
Yep.
is going to conduct a couple of weekly seminars in this new thing called computer-assisted reporting, where you could actually get information from your computer. And everybody's saying, oh, that's baloney. You kidding? The only way to get information is either to talk to someone, maybe go to the microfilm, maybe go up to the library.
Like, this is something straight out of War Games or something.
And this was a little more than 20 years ago. And we look at what we do now in terms of access. That's really been the big change. It's not so much the computers themselves as the internet. It's just completely changed the way we do business, the way we do our work. And I work now, and I don't know how we managed to do it back then.
It's crazy.
It really is. It's nuts. I remember I was investigating a company once in Waterville, trashing a woolen mill up there. And I went down to their headquarters in Connecticut. And on the way back, my dad taught at Babson College in Wellesley. So he says, oh, you can look up their 401k. I said, what's a 401k? I mean, not 401k, 10k.
Yeah.
It's their filings with the Securities and Exchange Commission.
Yep.
I said, you have that stuff? How do you have that stuff for a small company like this? He brings me in, and they have microfiche. Remember those?
I do remember microfiche. The little zoom in and
drawer,
the under.
Pull out the drawer, flips through it,
Remember microfiche
finds
very
this
well. Yeah.
company, and I got it in the machine. I got all kinds of great information, but it took me literally a whole day.
Yeah.
And now I can sit down, and in 15 seconds, I can have that information boom, right on my screen.
So that's one of the good parts.
Yeah.
What do you think are the negative of the new way?
Good question. I think the more reliant you get on that type of reporting, two things. The not so good part is you got to become much more discriminating about what is and isn't good information.
Right. You don't believe everything you read on the internet. Yeah.
You can find anything you want. If you want to find someone to say something on the internet, you can find it. The question is, do they know what they're talking about? Right. So you still have to do that, vetting yourself. You got to evaluate information. The other thing is, I think there's a tendency to not get out as much, particularly younger reporters. Not here. They're all perfect here. Don't get me wrong.
We're not talking about the Portland
right,
press.
That's right. No, they are. And they are.
None of this conversation pertains to anybody at the Portland press.
But you got to get out there. You got to talk to people. Right. You got to hit the street.